Hello everyone, my name is Tiberius Ignat from Scientific Knowledge Services. Welcome to Citizen Science Meets Libraries. We are very grateful for UKSG for offering us the opportunity to disseminate this presentation through their network. The presentation was first accepted as a paper for UKSG 2020, which was planned to happen in Brighton, UK. That was before the pandemic outbreak. But in the new COVID-19 reality, UKSG has decided to create a collection of digitally delivered presentations like this one. We salute and we fully support this plan. We believe we can help a broader audience to benefit from the fantastic educational role that UKSG conference plays. This presentation is authored by a mix of researchers and managers, all currently involved in active citizen science projects. Meet Kathrine Overgaard, the head of development at the Faculty of Health Science at the University of Southern Denmark. Kathrine established the university's citizen science network and worked within the field for 4 years. She sees research libraries as a neutral and ideal partner for the faculties in working with citizen science. Research libraries have strong competencies, she believes, for example, in engagement, and can help facilitate the dialogue between citizens and researchers. Hello, Kathrine. Also from Denmark, it comes the second author of this presentation, Thomas Kaarsted, the Deputy Library Director at the University of Southern Denmark. Thomas, together with Kathrine, established the SDU Citizen Science Network. He sees citizen science as the outcome of open science. According to Thomas, research libraries, as knowledge brokers, are an ideal place to support, facilitate, and potentially grow the field of citizen science in a dialogue with the faculty. Hello, Thomas. As for myself, I am Tiberius Ignat from Scientific Knowledge Services. I am directing this company, a small company which works with research organizations and publishers to disseminate trustful knowledge, to keep misinformation at bay, to make the transition to open science. I believe citizen science could better connect scientists with the rest of society. This way, the society at large will feel part of the scientific endeavor and new resources will be unlocked for exploring our nature and societies. Introductions aside, let's have a look to what citizen science and libraries could do together. Do you like butterflies? What about more butterflies? Do you know that the migration of monarch butterflies is one of the longest insect migrations, which still has a number of uncovered great mysteries? From Canada to Mexico and back, it takes 4 generations to make the trip, with 1 generation surviving 8-9 months to make this trip down to Mexico, and 3 other generations to make it back. The one that makes the long haul is called Methuselah generation and lives the equivalent of 600 human years. The one that makes the trip back to USA and Canada lives a normal life of 5 weeks, and they never saw the place they are heading to, the birthplace of their grandparents. Over 1.5 million monarchs have been tagged during the last 26 years. Citizens without formal research training are involved in large numbers to tag and to catch these individuals. Imagine, spot a monarch, catch it, glue the tag without making any harm to the insect, and release her. Meanwhile, register to the program, get the tags, report the location of the event, stay connected with the others. Do you imagine this work being done by researchers alone at this scale and in all those places? And then there are other people that are available at the right place, at the right time, to catch about 1% of the tag monarchs and to track their migration. Do you imagine, again, this could be done by researchers alone? Well, it's hard to imagine such an arrangement. Instead, the scientists discovered this is a typical mise en place for citizen science projects. Credit for those beautiful images, The Flight of Butterflies, a 2012 Canadian documentary filmed and co-written by Mike Slee, which covers Dr. Fred Urquhart's nearly 40 years long scientific investigation into monarch butterfly. Thank you. But citizen science is a valid approach for many other disciplines. It is not a very new approach, and let me briefly illustrate this. Georg Wencker was a German linguist who began documenting German dialect geography. Wencker's first effort to map spoken dialect began in 1876 and involved surveying schoolmasters in northern Germany. He sent a list of sentences written in standardized German and requested a transcription into the local dialect. For the next 10 years, Wencker successfully surveyed the entire country, and out of 50,000 surveys, 45,000 schoolmasters replied. In a time without internet, fax, or other similar things, only by post. The project was discontinued in 1956, but resulted in over 16,000 hand-drawn maps, the Atlas of German Language, Deutsches Sprachatlas. It is currently housed in the Atlas Archives in Marburg, and his pioneering work set the foundation for many successors in linguistic research. Another example here, 21 years ago, in April 1998, the UK signed the Kyoto Protocol. The officials referred to a study based on the longest and largest dataset of breeding. 57 years, 120 species, and over 30,000 observations each year. How to build a dataset at this scale without public participation? Society acted together with scientists to help policymakers build such an important decision. These are only a few examples, time allowed, to illustrate with obvious outcomes the roles of citizen science. We have the ambition to build the necessary work frame that is supporting this approach beyond the obvious and beyond the most appealing research topics. In research, sometimes we simply need the surrounding society to contribute in order to obtain the scale, the geographical coverage, and the collective intelligence which is needed to make the leap from unknown to discovery. After this short general introduction, I give the stage to my colleagues from Denmark to their part, The Power of Many.
So, hello and welcome. For the next 20-25 minutes, Kathrine Overgaard and myself, Thomas Kaarsted, will elaborate a little bit about citizen science at the University of Southern Denmark. And not surprisingly, citizen science is about connecting universities with the public. So our talk is The Power of Many. And in the next 20 minutes, you will hear a little bit about how we organize it, why we do it, a few cases, and a little bit about the future. So how do we organize citizen science at SDU? It could inspire you to think about how you could work with it at your own universities. At the University of Southern Denmark, we have a citizen science network, which we will show you in a few seconds. But before we start with that, citizen science is often seen a lot as natural science. It could be frogs, trees, water, and whatnot. At SDU, we have a little bit different approach. It's not that we don't recognize natural science in citizen science, but for us, it's much more about generating interaction and dialogue between citizens and researchers, and crucially, reducing the distance between universities and society in order to encourage a debate based on knowledge and facts. And when we say the power of many, it's because citizen science at SDU is a partnership or a network of partners. In the end, Kathrine is from the health science faculty, I'm from the library, but what we're trying to do is enable researchers to succeed with citizen science in order to collect data, in order to do science teaching and other things. And before we can do that, we need a network of partners outside the university. That could be media partners, NGOs, it could be policy makers and others. But within the university, we do a collaboration between most faculties and the library who are running or facilitating this network. We have done a number of projects which we will elaborate on a little bit further down the line.
Okay, last year SDU committed on the SDGs, and our mission is to create value and to find innovative solutions and contribute to a sustainable future by our actions. At this moment, we run 3 SDG challenges at SDU, and one is about enhancing active living for our employees and students. And this will be run as a citizen science project. This project will meet the SDG goal number 3 about health and well-being.
Citizen science and the sustainability goals do have a lot in common. Our university have committed strongly to them, and that is a very good platform for citizen science at our university. Before we go into more details on what we actually do within citizen science, I think it's important that we stop for a while and think about why do we actually do this? And there could be a number of reasons, some very university specific and more some within society. So before we go into this slide, we will give you a moment to reflect on what these 2 photos actually show. And I think everybody who is following at least American politics a little bit will know that the photo to the left on your screen is from the inauguration of Barack Obama in 2009, which had a record for attendees for an inauguration. Then move forward to 2017, January. This is the inauguration of Republican President Donald Trump. And at that point in time, his communication advisor, Kellyanne Conway, tweeted, "We have had the most number of people attending an inauguration ever." And not surprisingly, a lot of media picked up on that when these 2 photos showed and asked, are you really sure about there is more people to the Trump inauguration than at Obama? And then she says, yes, because we use alternative facts. And since 2017, January, American media has estimated that the current American president has lied to the public and used alternative facts more than 10,000 times. But it's to say that on a more serious note, we are living in a post-factual society, and it's extremely important that we as universities try to fight that. Also, as Kathrine mentioned, there is an agenda within the UN sustainability goals. And while these may be a nice poster and be a little bit fluffy, we have, I think, an important message. And that message is that leading scientific journals are adopting the UN sustainability goals and are adopting citizen science. So in October 2018, Nature, the world leading journal, had an editorial that announced a new editorial policy that said, if you do not commit to community-based research, you don't need to bother sending in abstracts or articles. And also there is a movement within citizen science that are trying to document the UN sustainability goals for citizen science. So there are some major valid societal and research-related issues that citizen science can help solve. But first of all, again, we need to see what actually is it, because it's a part of a major trend. And most of you have probably heard the term open science. Open science is a movement at universities and in Europe and in Britain. It's heavily supported by research and funding agencies, but it has a number of elements, including open research data, open access, open peer review, fair data. And in this sort of very beautiful mushroom that we have stolen from Professor Eva Mendes, the outcome of all these activities could be citizen science. But citizen science is a research discipline or a method in itself. And Kathrine will say just a few words on how we see that at SDU.
We use two models to explain our take on citizen science. The first model here is by Golombek, and it shows the main features of citizen science. So citizen science is about inclusion, it's about contribution, and it is about reciprocality. And especially this reciprocality element is very important in our citizen science project. We always have a focus on dialogue between the researcher and the citizens. The other model is by Mukwege, and it shows different levels of citizen science. Citizen science is not just done in one way, and the level of participation depends on both the citizen science project and the researcher. So our citizen science project don't always fit into the same concept, but we always have a focus on interaction and dialogue and feedback.
And it's to say that citizen science, although it's used in many ways, it's a very determined terminology. And it's to say that you can do very beautiful scientific crowdsourcing projects with great level of interest also from the public. But there are lots of ways, and you need to distinguish between the certain elements of citizen science if you work with it in a professional setting. But I think we're moving on a little bit here, because of course also the main of this is to have social impact, to integrate universities and researchers in society. But I think we are moving on to a few cases right now, because we do have some concrete cases at SDU. And the first one, Kathrine.
Yes, this one, A Healthier Stud in Denmark, is our very first citizen science project at SDU. And this project allows citizens to vote for funding for research project within health sciences. The partners in this project is the region. It's 5 local university hospitals. It is our university and 2 local broadcasters. The project facilitates a strong connection between researchers and citizens and media partners, which maximized exposure and interaction. And I think this project was quite a success. It was remarkable as the project reached about 500,000 citizens through this campaign run for 10 days.
And also it shows a very big interest from public service media into citizen science and working with universities, which is a possibility really at a lot of places.
Yeah, and the aim of this project was to engage citizens in decision-making about funding research and to enhance debate about the funding of research.
And we also have other projects.
Yeah. Yes, we have this one. It's about active living. Our university is situated in the outskirts of Odense and is surrounded by a protected forest and farmland, as you can see on the drawing. But a few years ago, it was decided that this farmland should turn back to nature, and therefore we asked our employees, our students, and the local cities what they wanted for this new area, and we got more than 1,000 ideas and comments from citizens, and all this data was collected and analyzed, and we discovered 8 different target groups. And at the moment we are trying to get funding for all these ideas, and I think that the project will develop over the next 3 to 5 years, and this focus on citizens and involvement and engagement of citizens will play a major role in the next years as well.
And also, if you engage citizens about their local community, they are normally very, very responsive and would like to engage in the process with researchers. And also, we had a media partner in this who was very, very beneficial in actually recruiting citizens and getting their input out.
Yeah. So this project is it's cool for the citizens, but also for the researchers, because they see this whole area as a living, active, living lab.
As you can see from this and the other Healthier Fynen Southern Denmark project, it's not what you would call normal citizen science. It's not natural science, but we do that as well. And around the island where we live, we have a very significant marine life of small whales. So within the Department of Biology, since 2009, we have done a collaborative science project in order to get citizens to report these small whales to the researchers. And that has actually been quite a good success as well, because it turns out that bathers, sailors, rowers, tourists, whoever is on the beaches or on the water around our island are very responsive and feel a very strong commitment to actually contribute to science. So we have had over 2,500 participants and over 5,000 sightings. But I think also very interested, we asked the citizens, why do you want to contribute? And there were 3 main reasons. One, we care about the environment, and the project can say check to that. I have an interest in marine mammal life, and yes, of course, the project also can put a check mark to that. But perhaps a little bit surprisingly, a large part of the citizens joined the project because they felt something they wanted to do for the local community. So it's to say that science can reach out to every corner of society, from big cities to small boats, to the beaches and to the inner city. As a sense of local community, citizen science is a quite powerful tool. Also, the last case that we will show you, in Denmark, it's called Frit Lejde, which is translated to bring your own device. We will show you very briefly a 4 to 5 minute video done by our media partner from the local regional television. But the project that ran in the fall of 2018 for 5 to 6 weeks is about collecting electronic waste in order to see why this chain of supply is not sustainable. We at SDU, and Kathrine and myself, were project managers, and we will now hand it over to our media partner and the professor Henrik Wenzel, and then we will wrap up after the video.
Vi mennesker kasserer knap 50 millioner tons elektronik om året. Og til næste år smider vi endnu mere ud.
Man får det næsten til ingen penge jo.
Det har en større konsekvens for menneskeheden, den trussel, vi mødeser der, end alt muligt andet miljøproblematik, jeg nogensinde har kigget på.
Henrik Wenzel forsker i elskrot, i hvorfor vi smider elapparater ud. For alt for ofte fejler elektronikken slet ingenting.
Vi har engang fundet en støvsuger, der var smidt ud, fordi posen var fuld.
Nu søsætter han et helt anderledes forskningsprojekt.
Hvorfor er det smidt væk, hvis ikke det fejler noget?
2 weekender vil Henrik Wenzel samle fynboernes elskrot ind.
Hvad er det, man ikke bruger længere? Hvad er det, der går i stykker, hvis det går i stykker? Men også, hvordan kunne folk se sig selv i et system, i et samfund, hvor mere blev sendt i spil igen?
For at undersøge forbrugsmønstret besøger Henrik Wenzel en helt almindelig gymnasieklasse.
I har nok hørt om Paris-aftalen, at vi skal prøve at holde os under 1,5 grad temperaturstigning.
Han har taget et IT-reparationsfirma med.
En telefon som den der vil vi typisk give 300 kroner for.
Telefonen har ligget 10 måneder hjemme i skuffen.
Jeg havde bare ikke tændt, så tænkte jeg, så var det tid til at få en ny.
Som udgangspunkt kunne det godt ligne, at dit batteri bare skal skiftes. Ja.
3 velfungerende, men noget ældre.
Indsamlingen har været i gang i 2 timer.
Jeg har ikke troet, at det der flaskehjem, det bare blev kylet ud, fordi man vil have noget nyt. Det har jeg ikke forestillet mig.
Det er første gang nogensinde, at Henrik Wenzel involverer borgere direkte i sin forskning.
Så har vi fået det nyt, og det virker meget bedre end det her. Det er et smart-tv, vi har fået, og det er her, det er.
Jeg har jo en gammel computer. Den er 10 år gammel, og har egentlig bare stået i flere år nu hjemme.
En bred vifte af aktører hjælper til.
Hvis når hvor længe det er siden, du har haft gang i den?
Frivillige reparationscaféer.
Det er jo et samfund, hvor der bliver bare smidt ud, ikke? Pas på panden.
Hvis vi kan gøre en forskel her, så vil det være rigtig godt.
Affaldsselskaber.
Vi gør det jo også for at få sat lidt fokus på den lovgivning, der egentlig ligger bag.
Kontakten til fynboerne er afgørende. Så i 2 uger sætter TV2 Fyn massivt fokus på elskrot.
Hej, jeg hedder Ida, jeg kommer op fra TV2 Fyn. Jeg er ved at samle elskrot ind, og i den forbindelse vil jeg høre, om du har noget liggende, som du gerne vil af med.
Vi har et fjernsyn, vi har en gammel køkkenmaskine.
Det var så den store farvekopimaskine. Pas på, den er tung.
Og så oversvømmes forskerne af elskrot.
Det går helt vildt godt. Altså, jeg tror, vi er oppe på at have 800 produkter registreret nu i systemet.
Målet er en rapport, der kan danne grundlag for ny lovgivning. Det glæder Henning Bager.
Så har vi alle de her forskellige beslag, der ikke noget, der passer sammen. Nogle af dem passer ikke på slangerne og sådan noget.
Han lever af at reparere elektronik, men det er blevet sværere. Elektronik i dag designes til produktion, ikke reparation.
Det er plastikkap, støb sammen det hele. Kan ikke gøre noget ved det.
Det er EU, der skal gå forrest med nye designkrav.
Jamen, hvorfor er det sådan, at vi ikke stiller krav til, at alt vores elektriske udstyr, at det skal kunne repareres?
Og telefonreparationsfirmaerne kæmper med skyhøje reservedelspriser.
Du har jo et kæmpe reparationsmarked inden for forbrugerelektronik især, som slet ikke bliver indfriet.
Hvor langt er man i EU i processen med at stille krav til, at producenterne laver produkter, der rent faktisk kan repareres?
Vi har fra Europaparlamentets side af stillet krav til EU-kommissionen om, at der skal laves lovgivning på det her område.
2 år gammel printer-scanner kopimaskine.
I alt 1600 apparater samler professoren ind.
De virker, de fleste af dem.
Nu arrangerer han et loppemarked.
Og så har I skrevet jeres beløb, og så betaler I, og så viser I, at nu har I betalt, og så står nummeret i tekstfeltet.
Jamen lige nu der kigger jeg lige, om jeg kan finde noget til min datters værelse.
Kunderne strømmer ind.
Velkommen til at komme ind og kigge. Det må du meget.
Ja, det første, vi skulle finde ud af, det var der overhovedet et marked for det? Det må man sige, det er der i hvert fald. Det bliver revet væk.
Et forskningsprojekt. Et skridt mod en mere bæredygtig verden.
Jeg synes jo, det er fedt at se, at der bliver ved med at komme mennesker ind. Det vil sige, at du har det vækket interessen.
Jeg har lært, at der er rigtig, rigtig meget, som kunne bringes i spil igen, hvis vi fik en model, hvor man havde et sted, man kunne gøre af det på en fornuftig måde.
As you could see from the video, engaging what you could call ordinary citizens who have never thought about science is actually possible if you take the dialogue seriously and if you commit to doing dissemination of scientific information to the public. So I think after we have described why we do this and some cases from SDU, we are very committed at SDU to see if we can build a stronger foundation for citizen science at our university. Because right now we have a network, it's pretty much ad hoc, and we get funding for some activities, but we also have to apply for grants for others. But building on our very good colleague Tiberius, which is one of the presenters here, Tiberius has written a very, very good article together with Paul Erich from University College London that is centering on a broad-spectred single point of contact for universities. And building on the work of Tiberius and Paul, in the future, the next year, we will investigate at SDU whether we can make a knowledge center on citizen science that is much stronger and is more sustainable and would be running for perhaps up to 5 years. So it's just to say some of the things that we have taken upon us from the research from Paul and Tiberius is universities could benefit for a single point of contact. Research support is important. Public engagement is important. Also, you could work with high schools and public schools in enhancing scientific literacy. There's a point that we do project management and advocacy. Libraries can do fair data. And of course, a very, very central part that could also fight this post-factual society is the dissemination of scientific information to the public. And of course, you could benefit not only yourself, but also researchers in working in a professional manner with grants offices with funding within the university.
That was great, wasn't it? I strongly admire the determination of our Danish colleagues, in particularly the library at the University of Southern Denmark, which works close with their community, exceeding the traditional academic borders to engage with the broader society. I'm sure that we'll hear more about their efforts in the coming year. I'm very sure about this. Now, let's have a brief update of the library's effort to create citizen science services. Starting with 2016, a number of emerging policies and recommendations indicate possible roles for partner research organizations like libraries in citizen science activities. Among them, the recommendations issued by OSPP, the LIBER Open Science Roadmap, and the notorious advice paper of the European League of Research-Intensive Universities, LERU. Some libraries are now on their path to establish such services and are positioning them as hub for citizen science activities. Although this is neither a granted place nor an easy job, progress is made. Per angusta am augusta. Let's have a look at what we know so far. In 2019, in a time when people used to meet regularly in large conferences, I had the honor to give a presentation to the UKSG annual conference, which took place in Telford. I called this presentation Citizen Science, Why Should We Bother? It was great to see the international audience from the UKSG conference engage in a conversation about the need for data and collective intelligence that is orders of magnitude larger than what scientists could do alone. The underuse of citizen science is indeed a missed opportunity for science and society. We launched an invitation to UKSG libraries, publishers and intermediaries that were present there to take part in a cultural change and bring science and society together to develop research support services for citizen science. After the conference, we published an article with UKSG Insights, thank you again, entitled Build to Last, Embedding Open Science Principles and Practices into European Universities, in which we picked up the same topic. The article could be found under this link. It was the first time we presented a prototype called BESPOC for creating a single point of contact for citizen science, a topic on which I will come back a bit later. Later that year, we held a workshop at the LIBER annual conference in Dublin, in which about 30 librarians and other professionals mapped the interest of research libraries in citizen science. What are the results of that workshop in 2019? Well, a new working group within LIBER, the Citizen Science Working Group. And secondly, we identified the preferred action areas in citizen science for LIBER members. These areas are science public bridge, infrastructure, training and skills, and advocacy. Earlier this year, we partnered with EBLIDA, the European Association of Public Libraries, to organize another workshop in which we set the foundation of a stronger collaboration between research libraries and public libraries, together to support citizen science activities in Europe and beyond. And we are not alone. In USA, SciStarter and Arizona State Library launched over a year ago the Librarian Guide to Citizen Science. Please have a look at it. It will give you plenty of ideas on how to start working with your community of readers and how to support scientists. I hope this brief update of how European and US libraries are engaging with citizen science will inspire more organizations to join our effort and together to build more trust in this approach and to help universities embed more such activities in their programs. But how practically to do this? The next part of our presentation is about building a point of contact for citizen science at university level, the aforementioned BESPOC prototype. As we will see, it's a prototype, but it's not a new idea. Citizen science point of contact, single point of contact, is rather a long term. For this reason, you will hear me speaking today about BESPOC, which means broad engagement in science point of contact. This is a terminology on which I will come back in just a little while. Now, let's go back to the idea of a single point of contact for citizen science, from where this idea came from. In October 2016, LERU, the European League of Research Libraries, released an important advice paper. This advice paper provides even today some of the greatest guidelines for embedding citizen science in the life of universities. This kind of activities existed and they were known long before in universities, but mostly at the laboratory level. However, the novelty of this advice paper is the upscale of citizen science to the level of organizations, universities in that case. And here it is, written as a recommendation for institutions. The single point of contact for citizen science is suggested to the leadership of universities to advise scientists and to ensure the liaison with the national and regional citizen science initiatives. Now, the time break for terminology. To become a circulated idea and to introduce it easier in our conversation, we think that the concept of a single point of contact for citizen science needs a shorter term. I wrote together with Dr. Paul Aries, the Vice Provost of UCL, an article about embedding open science in European universities. It was published, as I mentioned before, this year in 2020. In this article, we propose an international terminology for this single point of contact. We propose to generally call it BESPOC, which is again an acronym for broad engagement in science point of contact. We think this little detail, among other actions of course, will help turn this recommendation into practice. So, since 2016 we have the recommendation of creating a citizen science single point of contact, the BESPOC from now on. And what happened? It didn't become a practice as far as we are aware. Citizen science remains a novel idea at university level. Even the final report of Open Science Policy Platform recognizes that for most research stakeholders, the progress in this area is still in the early stages of discussions. Planning for some of them and some initial implementations for others. So this recommendation is not turned into a practice. However, we picked up this recommendation right away in 2016 and we pushed it forward. We did so via a series of events called Focus on Open Science. We run 25 such events, we call them chapters, throughout Europe, from west to east, north to south. We push this idea through journal articles, conference presentations, including annual conferences like LIBER, like UKSG, like European Citizen Science Association conference. We push this idea in master classes, in one-to-one conversations, and in consultancy. BESPOC also represents one of the strategic directions of the LIBER Citizen Science Working Group, which I'm proud to be part of. But what would such BESPOC look like? Could it be a physical space populated by humans, pandemic allows? Or maybe a digital-only service? Or perhaps it could be something completely different, a format that we never saw before, especially in universities. We at Scientific Knowledge Services have been prototyping independently such concepts since 2017, when we first mentioned roles for European research libraries in citizen science world. That happened in the LIBER annual conference in Patras. Our BESPOC prototype has 9 elements, and here they are. First, a platform on which to build and continuously update the institutional policy for citizen science, including a concordat of interest between the involved stakeholders like laboratories, PR offices, safety compliance offices, scholarly communication offices, data centers, training centers, and so on. The visible part of this policy platform will be a continuously updated report, available across the institution. Next to it, a portal. It contains information about citizen science activities in the respective organizations and possible beyond that organization, in your city, in your region, in specific domains of research. The third element, various frameworks for partnerships. Such partnerships could take place between units and departments belonging to your institution, or with third-party organizations. Why? Citizen science is a complex approach to research and very often requires partnerships in order to happen effectively. An example could be the partnership between a university and a museum, or with a crowdsourcing platform. Further down, our next element is represented by a collection of templates for citizen science activities. Examples are datasheets, protocols, training methods, training materials, checklists, reports, and evaluation forms. It is now demonstrated that the quality of citizen science data is highly dependent on the consistency of training programs and how easy it is for volunteers to follow the protocol, which means certain ways of designing the protocol, first of all. A collection of templates certainly helps, and I predict they will be in high demand. Here we are at the fifth element, specific research communication. The scientific communication in citizen science world has its own style. It should preserve the quality of peer reviews, but it is rather needed to abandon the scientific jargon or the discipline jargon. A BESPOC will offer a symbiosis system not only to ignite but also to facilitate this kind of communication. This symbiotic element of BESPOC will be able to contribute to the promise of research impact, to increase the dissemination of research output, and very important, to stimulate and to enable the recruitment for citizen science projects. This is a very difficult task. Our next element is a connector. A connector will plug the interested research groups with your research offices. It will be a point of reference to help scientists embed citizen science into grant proposals, and it will most probably offer services of scouting grants and proposal editing. Citizen science is not yet the obvious route for funders, although Horizon Europe will apparently be insisting on the collaboration between science and society. Don't forget, the industry could be a stakeholder in citizen science too. Hence, the important role of research office and the need for BESPOC to create this connector between scientists and the research office. The seventh element could be an easy one or a difficult one. It is a desk, physical or virtual desk, which offers a gateway for the public to propose research projects. It will be easy when there is a sort of harmony driven by curiosity. It will be easy when there is a sort of harmony driven by curiosity or by ambition to fix the unknown, a harmony between researchers and the public. On the contrary, it will become a hot potato when such harmony is broken. When the public need for new understandings and for innovative solutions to their own problem is not very close to researchers' agenda. This entry point, in such case, will become an intrusion point from the researcher's perspective. We don't have much time to insist during this presentation, but there could be certain strategies to achieve merry work in this area. I am happy to engage with you in later conversations. Please feel free to contact us. We are coming close to the finish line. The eighth element is another connector. This time, such a connector is aimed to provide legal confidence by connecting the citizen science activities with the relevant departments of the university level to oversee the legal and safety matters. A quick example, if you wish. Your organization is running a field study and you want to make sure that whatever unhappy event happens, you have timely mannered professional support, medical support for example, and that your organization employed the right diligence to avoid that event and to have it legally covered. Well, this is difficult to be made without such connector. Another example, if you need, is, for example, you set a prize for the most relevant lay contributor to a citizen science project. How do you know that the rules of competitions are rightly set from a legal perspective? How do you know that you reward in a legal manner that citizen which contributed to your project? Last, by all means not the least element, is a portal for building a community of participants. This portal could be very much the same or different to the activities portal, the first element that we presented. It depends on your engagement strategy. The Community Builder portal will make your organization an active member of the society and it will reward both researchers and scientists with an interactive space, a space for friendship. It will facilitate the recruitment, the retention, and it will be an important element to combat the volunteer burnout. Remember, a community is neither created nor managed. A community is nurtured. So this community portal, part of a more complex BESPOC, is so much important for the success of your research activities and even further to accomplish your societal mission. This portal and the communities that it can nurture will help your organization better serve the society for which it exists. This is pretty much about the prototype. Starting with November this year, 2020, we plan to develop a pilot with the University of Southern Denmark. If our submission will be accepted, we will come back at UKSG 2021 to present the learnings and the results of this pilot. This was our presentation together with my colleagues from Denmark. Instead of an epilogue, here is my second to last slide. For those that are interested in more details about the role of research libraries in citizen science, we recommend this bibliography. Thank you for watching this presentation. I will be pleased to engage in further conversations with you. Please don't hesitate to contact me or my colleagues from Denmark whenever is needed. You will find our contact details. There will be more presentations like this in citizen science, but not only. We plan such presentations in research metrics or scholarly communications. Your feedback is most welcome. And here are our contact details. Thank you for listening to us.